and still went out. When I came back home late, it was emptied, and he was gone. Sometimes we tend to do things our own way because we want to prove that we can do this the way we want to and the way we feel like. He had addressed the issue of me always going out at night, and I ignored him. My mind was made up. I didn't want to miss out. I had some sort of FOMO, fear of missing out, in me. I felt like if I listened to my boyfriend, I would miss out on a good time. Instead of listening to him, I listened to my friends, and now look at what that had got me. How I wish I listened to my boyfriend and not my friends. When I was left alone, when I found him gone, where were the friends that I had listened to? They were long gone also, and I was left all alone, licking my own wounds. I wish I had done differently. Maybe if I had listened for once and obeyed. I wouldn't have found myself in a tough situation that left me confused and depressed. I almost lost myself that time, and I don't want the past to repeat itself. My name is Molly, female, 24, and my boyfriend is Raj, male, 26. Raj and I met through a mutual friend. Well, my girls and I had gone to one of our male friends' birthday party celebrations in Washington. Raj was Liam's male friend, childhood bestie. We didn't know about him up until the day of the party. Raj is a very handsome guy, smart, neat, and sophisticated. He was a fun person. You wouldn't get bored when you were chilling with him. He's very cool, calm, and carefree. Raj and I chilled together throughout the night. Our energies and personalities connected in a way that I had never expected. We got along very well. We ended up exchanging numbers. My friends started complaining that I had been with Raj for way too long, and I had ditched them. Some people would never understand when your heart and soul connects with someone, you will feel like you can be with that someone for as long as you both live. Raj and I became close friends since then. We liked and enjoyed each other's company. What made our relationship the way it was because we both knew how to communicate with one another. We managed to put our differences and pride aside and talk things through. Another thing, if we are together, the conversation always flows. It was always like if I was out of something that I would speak about, he knew how to make up a conversation. We spent a lot of time together to a point that even my friends started getting jealous of the way I was close with Raj, but I didn't care. The more I was spending time with Raj, the more my feelings for him were developing like a speed of light. I had to pretend like I was not feeling anything while deep down I was dying of this guy's love. You know the pain when you have to act like nothing is happening in you while there's actually a huge bomb that you want to drop, but you are scared of rejection. 3 months later, Raj and I started dating. We just couldn't keep our feelings in the closet anymore, so we both confessed our true feelings. Our relationship had its share of ups and downs, but we managed to pull through everything through trust and communication. Our relationship was a bliss. We did everything together. We would sometimes go out together to have some fun alone. He allowed me to be free and to be myself. My love for Raj grew fonder and fonder. I had found a best friend, an advisor, and a lover in him. He was my perfect, imperfect situation. Though he had a tendency of going out whenever he got angry or things didn't go the way he was expecting them or the way he wanted to. Another thing about Raj was that he cannot handle or cope well under pressure, especially if it's relationship pressure. He prefers walking out and coming back when the situation is handleable. We dated for 2 years, but during our 1.5 years, things started changing. Raj became distant. He would sometimes come back from wherever he was coming from, moody and uninterested. Mind you, that time I had moved in with him. I moved in with him on our 6th month of dating. He actually begged me to move in with him because he felt like his apartment was lonely and cold without a female figure. After the whole month of convincing and begging he did, I finally gave in and accepted his request. I mean, I was in love with the guy, so I thought, why not accept his request? So I remember one day when Raj was Raj's birthday. I had planned to make a nice, intimate, and romantic dinner for him, while I would surprise him with my sexy number that I had bought specially for his birthday. I had cooked. When I say I cooked, I mean I went all out, made all his favorites. I even lit the candles and did those romantic decor things. I made it like a romantic and intimate picnic kind of thing. I waited for Raj that day. I even tried calling him, but he was not answering. In fact, he had switched off his phone when I tried to call him for the 3rd time. From there, I saw that he was somehow ignoring me or avoiding me. I asked myself what was happening with him and asked if I had done something wrong, because the way he was acting made me think that maybe I had done something wrong, but I was not aware. I stayed the whole night that time. and even dozed off on the couch. The surprise was ruined. The birthday romantic intimate picnic was ruined. He stood me up, which was something he had never done before. I was so disappointed and heartbroken by what he had done. He actually came back the following day later. I didn't even know what to say nor do to him because I was so disappointed. I had wasted all my time and energy for him to make his birthday kind of special. Only for him to stand me up like that was the worst part, to ignore my calls. Not just ignoring, but he literally switched off his phone when he saw that I was blowing his phone up. In my mind, I had thought that maybe I was a nuisance to him. Maybe I was no longer the girl that he had fallen in love with. Maybe he was not finding me interesting anymore. All those thoughts kept lingering in my mind. They came rushing like a flood, and whenever they did, I would get crushed. My heart would be torn into tiny pieces. I didn't know if I was going in or going out in Raj's life. A lot was no longer promising, and I was actually waiting for anything to happen between us. I tried being patient with him. I tried addressing the issue with him, and he told me that there was nothing wrong between us. He told me that he was dealing with some work pressure. He apologized for the way he had been behaving and promised to change for the better. As much as I did not believe what he was saying, his apology sounded sincere, so I gave him the benefit of the doubt. I wanted him to prove himself without me going after him like he was a herded cow. Few days passed and he didn't change his behavior. Instead, it got worse to a point that we even argued. There's this one time when I was asking him if he no longer feels me or no longer finds me interesting. He asked why I was asking him that, so I told him all the reasons that I thought he wanted to know so he would know his mistakes and rectify them. Instead of him to keep calm and speak with me in a civilized manner, he decided to just burst out. I was so confused by the sudden burst out, so I asked why he was being defensive because I was asking questions and he had to give me simple answers. The argument went on until it reached the peak point where it got heated, and he decided to just walk out on me and go wherever he was going. I was left there shuttered. I missed my friends. Somehow, I was starting to regret ever getting into a relationship with Raj because he had no backbone. He didn't know how to stand up for his sh*t, and it was somehow pissing me off and turning me off. On the weekend, I decided to just text my friends and ask what their weekend plan was. As I was waiting for them to respond, Raj walked in and asked to speak to me. I gave him a go-ahead. Then he started by apologizing for the way he was behaving and for walking out on me. He told me that he had found out something bad about Melissa, one of my friends, female, 26. He told me the most shocking things that I didn't even want to believe because Melissa was like my best friend, my sister. He told me that Melissa was a body seller. After her parents passed on, she had no place to go, so she resorted to selling her body to old men. That came as a huge shocker to me, but that was not all because he dropped the biggest bomb of them all. He told me that Melissa had been with some bad guys and she owed a loan shark, moneylender, a huge amount of money since her parents didn't leave her with anything. So the moneylender wanted his money back, or she should find a girl that would satisfy the man sexually until he says she has paid off her debt. Raj told me that all the other 3 friends of mine or ours actually knew about Melissa's problem, since they also date older men to make easy money. I had been warned by my boyfriend Raj not to go out late at night, especially after the recent news of my bestie, or my so-called ex-bestie Melissa, and the shenanigans that she had put herself into. But I had plans with my friends, and I didn't want to cancel on them. Yes, they had replied, and I didn't want Raj to manipulate me or emotionally blackmail me to stay in the house after I had stayed for too long tolerating his nonsense. So, I ignored his warning and set out for a night out on the town. We had planned to meet up in town before we went to the club that my friends had recommended, not knowing that I was actually setting myself a very dangerous trap. My mundane routine consisted of work, occasional social outings, and returning home by nightfall. One day, however, curiosity overcame my usual cautious nature, leading me down a path of unforeseen consequences. It was a typical Saturday evening, and the sun was setting, casting an orange hue over the horizon. As I prepared for a relaxing night outside the house, a friend called me and told me to meet them at some newly launched club, so that later we would join a spontaneous gathering at a popular nightclub downtown. Feeling the monotony of my life, I seized the opportunity, ignoring the warning that lingered in my mind. My boyfriend has always been a reliable source of advice, cautioning me about the perils lurking outside after dark. Raj pleaded with me and even threatened to leave if I went ahead with my plan of meeting up with my friends. As much as I loved Raj so much, but he had disrespected and disregarded me so much to a point that I even saw myself as a nuisance or an irritating girlfriend to him. I needed a break and some air to breathe. I needed to be away from Raj, and going out with my friends was actually what I had needed. Little did I know that that unknown Saturday night was going to be my worst nightmare. Disregarding my boyfriend's words of wisdom and warning, I hastily dressed up, slipping into a stylish outfit that exuded a newfound confidence. A quick glance in the mirror reassured me, and I headed for the door, keys jingling in my hand. As I stepped outside, a cool breeze brushed against my cheeks, reminding me of the dubious choice I had made. Ignorantly dismissing any nagging doubts, I set off into the unknown. The vibrant city lights welcomed me, transforming the dark night into a swirling kaleidoscope of colors. Pulsating music reverberated through the air, igniting a rush of adrenaline within me. For hours, I danced, laughed, and mingled, soaking in the contagious energy of the crowd. It felt as if time stood still, as if this was the destiny I had been searching for all along. I wanted to forget about my relationship problems and have fun. I had a great time with my friends, laughing and dancing the night away. But as the night wore on, I started to feel a sense of unease. I checked my phone and saw that it was past midnight. I knew Raj would be worried sick about me being out so late. I decided to call him and let him know that I was safe and that I would be home soon. But when I called, he didn't answer. I thought maybe he had turned off his phone or was in a different room, so I tried calling again a few minutes later. Still no answer. I started to feel a sense of panic. Where could Raj be? Why wasn't he answering my calls? I tried calling our neighbors, but no one had seen or heard from him. I decided to head home, hoping that Raj would be there waiting for me. When I was about to go, Melissa told me that she wanted to introduce me to someone else. I wondered who that was, so I agreed to be introduced to that person. I mean, what Raj had told me earlier had long gone out of my head, so it didn't come to me that I was going to be introduced to the moneylender. Melissa took me to some small office and told me that that was where we would meet the guy. With my ignorant self, I said okay. So we went in and found a middle-aged guy. I think he was mid-50, if not 60. She introduced me to him as the friend she was talking about. I got confused and looked at Melissa, hoping to get clarification of what she was talking about. But the girl just avoided eye contact and told the guy that she would leave us alone to have a chat. My mind raced back to Raj. I had thought that if Raj was to find out about this, he would actually explode. The middle-aged man introduced himself as Isaacs. I didn't even introduce myself. I just looked at the guy and waited for him to tell me what his story was. The guy furthered by summarizing the Melissa story that Raj had told me about. He told me that Melissa told him that she had talked to me, and we have agreed that I would be the girl that would satisfy him until Melissa's debt was fully paid up. To say I was shocked would be an understatement. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. So my friend, or the person I had considered my best friend, actually sold me to the devil. She borrowed or took money from this Isaacs guy with the hope that I was the one to pay the price. I told the guy that I had never talked to Melissa about anything like that, and I didn't even know what was going on with her. One thing I was grateful for was that the guy was kind enough to allow me to explain to him why I said I didn't know anything, while Melissa was so sure that I was the one to be the guy's sexual toy. I told the guy my truth and asked him to let me go because I had a boyfriend at home that was waiting for me. The guy looked disappointed and enraged, but he kindly allowed me to go. I couldn't believe Melissa. I mean, how can you do that to your friend? Even if it wasn't your friend, how can you sell another woman to a man just because you want her to be used so that your debts can be paid off? I regretted ever going to that club. I regretted even texting the girls and asked for their weekend plans. From there, and then I knew that I had to rush home and apologize to Raj for not listening to him when he warned me. The alcohol-induced bliss still clung to my senses, making me oblivious to the world around me. I hailed a cab, slurring my words as I clumsily mumbled the address of my home. As the taxi raced through the empty streets, the graveness of my predicament began to unravel in my foggy mind. Arriving at my street, a shiver ran up my spine as I noticed my house standing eerily quiet amidst the darkness. Stumbling out of the cab, I approached the front door, misplacing my keys in my inebriated state. The door creaked open, greeting me with an unexpected silence. Tripping over my own feet, I stumbled into the living room, only to be confronted by a heart-wrenching sight. When I arrived at home, my heart sank. The house was dark and empty. I called out for Raj, but there was no answer. I tried calling his phone, but it went straight to voicemail. I prayed and hoped that he didn't do what he said he would do if I went out with my former friends. How I wish I had listened to him. He told me the exact same thing that the Isaac guy had told me, and I regret myself for not believing him. I should have trusted my boyfriend and listened to his warnings. But what did I do? I messed it all up. All for what? For a grudge that I had held on him. I searched the house, but there was no sign of him. I checked his phone and saw that it was still in the living room next to the couch. I tried calling him again, but it went straight to voicemail. I felt a chill run down my spine. Where could Raj be? Why had he left the house without taking his phone or any of his belongings? I couldn't shake the feeling that something was very wrong. I spent the rest of the night pacing back and forth, trying to call Raj and hoping that he would answer, since he had a second phone which was not in the living room. But he never did. The next morning, I found a note on the kitchen table. It was from Raj, and it said that he had left me. He was sorry, but he couldn't be with me anymore. He had packed his bags and left the house. I felt like I had been punched in the gut. I couldn't believe that Raj had just left me like that, without any explanation or goodbye. I was devastated, and I didn't know how I was going to move on from this. It's been a few weeks now, and I'm still trying to come to terms with what happened. I miss Raj, but I know that I need to move on. I'm trying to focus on my own healing and moving forward, but it's not easy. I wish I could turn back the clock and go back to that night and try to change the outcome, but I can't. All I can do is sit here and cry. My home had been stripped bare, devoid of the memories and belongings that defined my existence. Each room was an empty shell, devoid of life and purpose. Panic engulfed me as I realized the gravity of my actions. Desperation clawed at my throat, and my heart pounded, sending tremors throughout my body. Unfathomable regret seeped through my veins as I finally discerned the reason behind the tragedy that befell my once cherished sanctuary. My foolish decision to ignore my boyfriend's admonishments had paved the way for my boyfriend to leave me and find someone else better. Every valuable possession, each priceless memento, had vanished in an instant, leaving only an indelible emptiness behind. Broken, I sunk to the floor, tears streaming down my face, mingling with the remnants of my shattered dreams. The consequences of my recklessness echoed mercilessly in my mind, urging me to reconsider my choices. It was a sobering realization. My actions had consequences, and the price I paid was immense. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. The memory of that fateful night haunted me, serving as a perpetual reminder of the naivety that had marked my path. The love of my life, the only person who had shown me genuine love and care, never returned, and I was left to my own devices to rebuild my life from the ruins. It always breaks my heart whenever I think of the way my relationship with Raj ended. I miss him, and if I was to be given a chance to rectify my wrongs to save my relationship with Raj, I would. Even though I still think he took a very dumb and cowardly move to end our relationship. He should have waited for me to come back so we would talk about everything and find a solution to our problems. I now knew that the story he told me about was true, and it had been haunting me ever since. Ever since that day, I still get shivers down my spine when I think about what Melissa wanted me to do with that old man. I hate them so much, I no longer want to see myself associating with any of them. However, from the ashes of despair, a newfound strength emerged. I resolved to heed the warnings of those wise enough to know better, to never put my safety and security on the line. With unwavering determination, I transformed the gaping hole within me into a source of motivation, giving rise to a vigilant and astute version of myself. I decided to start therapy, which is the first route to the healing journey, right? I had to make peace with everything for my own good. Thus, although I lost my material possessions, I gained immeasurable wisdom and resilience. As I gradually pieced my life together, I undertook a mission to share my cautionary tale, and tirelessly echoed Mr. James's discarded words of advice to anyone willing to listen. For there is a profound beauty in caution, an inspiration within every tale of redemption. Please help me understand some terms of a relationship because I still don't know what went wrong in my relationship with Raj. I still need Raj. I miss him so much. What I should do to get him back. Please give me advice. I'm lost.